female empowerment was a game, its name would be Misutonia no Kibou The Lost Delight. Misutonia no Kibou is the newly released Japanese Otome game that will get a localization in 2025. And while it looks cute, it's not only the feisty heroine who is out for revenge, but also the world building overall and the subtle message against any kind of stereotypes that makes this game a treat for the female audience. So maybe this will be your next favorite game after Radiant Tale or Virge, as it kind of combines the best of both. The stage is set in a world of humans and fairies, where a fairy queen watches over the humans together with 5 families who descend from fairies the fairy queen created to protect the humans. Just lately, the powers of the fairy queen weakened, and life in the capital gets more turbulent. Discrimination against the half-fairies without special powers grows more severe, so much so that there are even people cutting wings off those little fairies. The circumstances in the Eden, the district where the poor and half-blood lives, get more critical, but at least there also are more donations for orphanages or hospitals. And lastly, changelings, fairies who took the bodies of humans, suddenly start to disappear, and a rebellion against the queen is rising in the shadows. In Misutonia no Kibou, our heroine Rose is out to avenge her family who has been slaughtered in a great fire 8 years ago, and she was the sole survivor of the massacre. She only knows the queen commanded the attack and the 5 noble families enacted the slaughter. Now she disguises herself as a maid in the house of one of the most powerful families, where the heads of the 5 families are soon together to prepare the exhibition of the century and meet the queen. Now the heroine has to decide who her victim will be and which family she will infiltrate to obtain all the necessary information to carry out her revenge. There is an official route order and I highly recommend to strictly stick to it. Normally I'm not a route order person, but in this game the biggest revelations in one route can be spoiled in one sentence in another route. So please give this game a chance to play its crescendo of revelations by sticking to the route order. First, choose Alfred as your target. His magical ability is the barrier, and that's also his most prominent character trait. He is as hard to crack as the stones his family produces. He is always serious and stern, but quickly you'll notice the warm kindness he hides behind his iron mask. And there's such an interesting man hidden behind his cold demeanor. Normally I would talk about small plot points here, but I feel that would spoil the fun in this case. What I can tell you is that his route is one of the more plot-driven ones, as they play hide and seek with their true identities. This is also an exceptionally great route to start your fairy adventure with, as in my impression the route took a lot of time to sketch out the heroine's character development while introducing all the side characters and giving the reader time to get closer to everyone. And this is a rare case of a love development between 2 kuderes who don't want to show their emotions but are very sincere people. This made the progression a bit slower, but not less cute, and the voice actor you might know from Benkei and Biroshana, or Pashalia and Radiant Tale, was perfect to voice this stern yet warm gentle giant. The second target will be Lucas. His family is feared for the will-o-wisp power to talk to and guide the dead. And that's also very much the vibe he gives. He seems like a dead person trapped in a living body. And as you get to know him and his tragic past, you'll fully understand why he always looks so troubled and hates people in general. And because he is a people hater who drove away all the servants in his townhouse, the MC is next to try and serve him, all alone in his spooky estate. In trying to obtain information from him, she won't be scared away that easily. I didn't expect to love Lucas as much as I did. He doesn't seem to care about anything happening in the world, and all he does is either ignore people or yell at them. But even more precious did the moments feel when he finally smiles and opens up to the MC. In his route, I cried about his past and the tragedy, about their mutual support, but also laughed at their banters and his dry humor. And seeing those 2 almost unwillingly fall in love made my heart feel so warm. You might know his voice actor from Yona in Tengoku Struggle or Koyo in 9-Rib, and I feel if you liked Yona, you might also like Lucas, as he also can have quite a temper, but hides an unbelievably kind heart you can't help but fall for, and his voice will stab your heart at times. Third is Linus, who doesn't look at all like a strong beast chosen to protect the queen at all costs. He rather looks like a puppy who recognizes Rose's smell from somewhere. And while their love story started out cute and innocent, it took some turns that surprised me, and which you'll either love or hate. But he certainly isn't your typical puppy dog character. I couldn't personally relate to some conflicts in his route, but nevertheless Nevertheless, did his character turn out less predictable than expected, which definitely made me enjoy him more than I would have thought. Asked and Edward are locked until you have played 2 other roots. Asked is the notorious frivolous flirt with no conscience. His family is said to be the closest to the Queen, though no one knows where their powers actually stem from. As he's so close to the Queen, the heroine agrees to fake date him to get to the Queen through him. And his route, holy moly, flirts either turn me off or I love them immensely. He turned out to be of the latter kind. Though I am not a particular fan of this very popular voice actor, you might also know from Tomomori in Bidoshana or Scarecrow in Bestefellows. To my surprise, I loved Asked and his route, his character and character development, and his flirting. I loved it all to pieces. Also, the heroine's character development is inspiring in his route. This combined with a tragic high-stakes plot makes for such a satisfying, deep love story. In my opinion, Asked also has the most interesting and most intense endings. All of his endings are my favorite endings, and he almost seems like a true root for me because of what happens in his route. But for some reason, Asked isn't the poster boy, but Edward is. Edward is the son of the current head of the family, where the whole drama takes place. Unlike his father, he doesn't agree that weak people need to be weeded out, but rather protected and taken care of. For this reason, he often gets into fights with his father, and the relationship doesn't seem to be on good terms. To some extent, he is your typical goody two-shoes character, but not because he's naive, but rather because he's extremely considerate and attentive to the feelings of others. He wants to eradicate inequalities in society, treats servants as equals, and tries to help out the poor people living in Eden. His route turned out to be rather plot-heavy again, though that doesn't mean the romance took a backseat. Thanks to Edward's open and caring nature, the heroine quickly opens up to him, and they start forming a deep connection early on in the plot, and survive the plot due to their support and their deep understanding of each other. When I first saw him in the promotional material, he was the reason why I didn't want to buy the game at first, as I usually don't enjoy happy-go-lucky characters. Until I got to know him. Got to know he's not a superficial Genki character, but a sensitive and warm man longing for love. Lastly, John unlocks. The other survivor of the gruesome fire 8 years ago, and a childhood friend of the MC who has been watching over her and taking care of her ever since they escaped, and who now supports the MC's revenge as an informant. And he doesn't know that he's already in love with the MC, feeling very uncomfortable about her living together with other 5 hot men. And yet his route is not about realizing your feelings and sorting out your childhood feelings, like any other childhood friend route. No, this game has some more surprises up its sleeve that pose an obstacle to their love. This take on the childhood friend trope and realizing your feelings trope is probably nothing you have seen like this before. And though his route was slightly more plot-driven, the interesting ideas and twists as well as the harmonious ending made it a fitting final romantic route. Because there also is a true route that brings everything and everyone together. And not to forget about our outstanding heroine, Rose. Her official name seems to be Applause, but as her nickname is Rose, I think Apple Rose is more fitting. And she's one of the reasons why this game feels so empowering to me. In the beginning, she's cold and shuts all her emotions away to be able to carry out her revenge. This goes that far that her colleague mates call her Iron Mask, as she never even shows a smile. All her reactions are calculated according to the person she's interacting with. She always wonders. Alfred would probably prefer a more serious mate. Edward would probably prefer a weaker mate. And this makes her pretty unlikable in the beginning, if you ask me. Because she shows no emotions and only thinks about how to best use others to her own advantage. And there seems to be no love left in her heart. That is also one of the reasons why playing Alfred's route first feels the most fitting, as in his route you can slowly witness her character development, how she holds on to her motive of revenge as much as she can and tries to push away her feelings until they get too strong. But of course she has this kind of development in all routes, and it's always a joy to finally see her smile and admit there's still love left in her heart, and finally admit that her love can be stronger than her hatred. But that for half of the game she's focused on the revenge makes her very calculated. She proves she's smart and ahead of the allies in quite a lot of scenes. And she's even trained in martial arts. So this protagonist is not a helpless girl. She's clever and shrewd and can protect herself and her body. With these abilities, she often keeps the upper hand in the situation and never is portrayed as the victim. Though of course being so focused on revenge and hung up on the past makes her a victim of her own hatred. But she's not a victim of the situation or of the force of other people. This is also shown in the ends. Not even in the bad ends is she a victim of other people or of the circumstances. She is still only the victim of her own choice, and often decides to run into the bad end herself, willingly and intentionally. And yet she isn't the perfect character. There are still scenes where she needs to be rescued, be it physically or even more so mentally. And that makes her such a well-rounded character who defies stereotypes. She is strong-willed, smart and witty, and yet full of emotions that can get the better out of her. And with that, Roses proves how strong and yet weak any person can be. And such an intricate balance also characterizes the tone of the game. Let's start with the plot. While I perceived the roots of Alfred, Edward and John as more plot-driven, I don't think that the romance took a backseat overall. The overall ratio of plot and romance felt really balanced to me. In the long common route, you start investigating the families in little episodes as you walk around the estate. Here you have something like a little but extremely easy and kind of unnecessary gameplay element. The heroine has the power to see the past of people, which is triggered by people talking or touching. Thus she needs to collect memory shards to piece together to see the past. And you simply achieve that by going through all the rooms in the estate and eavesdropping in all the conversations. Hence the common route felt a bit long to me, and there wasn't a real flow of the story as you listened in on small episodes of seemingly random conversations. But once you get onto the character routes, then the story really starts, and these previously random conversations suddenly start to make sense. Seriously, the writing and foreshadowing in this game is outstanding. I'm not the most interested in plot, but still there was no question left unanswered. And there were countless times when the game suddenly revealed something and proves that you could have noticed it before, if you would have paid attention to these little 2 sentences. Thus, no revelation felt random, but all connected to previous statements, perfectly interwoven with the flow of the story. Call me biased, but I think it was even better than Wish. And just like Wish, the game even has replay value to go back and find all the tiny hints hidden everywhere in each seemingly random conversation. It's stunning, it's a masterpiece. And it gets even better. The reason why I'm usually not a fan of plot is when it's not connected to the love story or the characters. But here each plot revelation has a direct impact on their relationship. And even the overarching truth is about the various kinds of love and the impact love can have. And not only did the plot have romantic connotations, I also perceived it as empowering in some sense. You know, this game is a fairy setting, but also here the game plays with the stereotypes you might have about fairies in order to totally break your expectations. Fairies might be beautiful, but that doesn't say anything about their character. Also, the LIs are half fairies, which means you will see a strong and muscular, bulky man with sparkly fairy wings. And that really is a contrast you don't see often, right? It's like the Barbie movie became an Otome game. Just because it's cute and sparkly doesn't mean fairies aren't strong or can't be evil. Just because it's cute and sparkly, you can't judge it a certain way. And while these men are powerful and strong fighters, they are all kind and warm. And that's what I really love about this game. You know how cute and sparkly things are often judged or even belittled. If it's cute and sparkly, it can't be serious. It can't be strong. It can't even be male. But here we have very male, very sexy allies with cute and sparkly wings. And I absolutely love it. Neither the men can be judged a certain way, neither can cute and sparkly wings be judged. And despite this in principle cute and sparkly setting, the plot and the characters can be extremely bloodthirsty. And soon these beautiful wings will be covered in blood, as will your Squitch screen. You can already guess that from the motive of revenge, but yes, the plot is going to be cruel. And her revenge plot is only the tip of the iceberg. Every character also has their own plot going on, and secrets to explore that can be dark and tragic. So not only does every character route play out completely different due to the different subplots, with each LI the MC develops a completely different dynamic, and each love story feels so unique and precious. Despite the plot being so strong, the romance doesn't take a backseat. At times it's even the romance that drives the plot forward. And though I sadly can't describe this game as steamy, they still manage to portray each and every relationship as passionate. In each route you have fateful and tragic elements, combined with the heroine's conflict between love and revenge, that still never feels repetitive, but it develops its own dynamic in each route. It's a pure love straight out of a fairy tale. Similarly interesting as the LIs are the various and likable and above all deep side characters. Over the course of the roots, you'll get to know and love the side characters, and every single one has their past and backstory. I really enjoyed my time so much with them that I feel like I became friends with them in a living and breathing city right out of a Charles Dickens novel, and I think this is really rare to see. These side characters are no pawns but people. Lastly, the endings. And oh my, are you in for a ride. The game's topic is love versus revenge, and that is also reflected in the endings. You of course have your happy love ending, but then you also have a tragic love revenge ending, and the most exciting of all, a triangle ending. But hold your horses, ladies. Let me explain first. In each route there also gets another character involved, but how he gets involved can vary immensely. Of course, they give us sweet jealousy scenes in between, thank you, as all characters start to like the heroine. But the triangle ending is also called the maze ending, or the hesitance ending, where the heroine is kind of torn between the two. That can be romantically, or just that she's influenced by another ally, which might lead to betraying the ally whose route you're on, in one form or another. It can be a romantic or a mental betrayal. And for me, those endings always were the highlights of each route. To find out how the other ally intervenes. Those endings also were the steamiest, though not all of them are created equally juicy. But I'm still happy we get 2 threesome endings. And then of course we have a lot of random death endings, which I also highly enjoy. The art is as beautiful as it's due for this fairy setting. Most CGs are in romantic situations and convey a sweet and dreamy atmosphere. The only gripes that I have is that the music became repetitive really quickly. Though I usually enjoy background music, I feel this has too few and too short tracks. And I also noticed some visual bugs, like faces not appearing in the backlog, or a weird flickering of the sprites after making a choice. I hope they polish that for the localization. If you're not looking for a particular challenge, I can only recommend this game for slightly advanced learners. The kanji choices can be funky, and the noble and political setting doesn't make the conversations exactly easy to follow. As always, thanks to my patrons who are the first to watch my reviews, get behind the scenes insights, or help for learning Japanese with Otome games. Thank you so much for all your continuous support in whichever way. This is honestly a game for everyone. Plot and romance are so well balanced that both fans of plot as well as fans of romance will be able to enjoy the game. Even more so if you like sparkly fantasy settings with a dark twist. All the investigation elements of the common route felt a bit draggy for me. This impression was quickly overpowered by the fascinating plot that got better and more intense with each route I played, until the big crescendo in the final route, and the engaging and emotional pure romance that had me form a deep connection with the characters, admiring their mutual support or swooning over their cute interactions. If this game was steamy, it could be like a 9 or 10 out of 10 for me, but as I'm a steamy girl, my personal enjoyment was closer to a 8.5 out of 10. A game that gets better the more you play it, telling a story of fateful and pure love in a fairy tale world. If you like games like Café Enchanted, Vierge, Radiant Tale, or Reine de Fleur, and you want the best of all these games combined, then don't miss out on Misutonia no Kibou The Lost Delight.